sorry I'm a little bit late to today's live. I said I would go online about 20 minutes ago, but I was struggling with today's IVF injection. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. The medicine wouldn't go in, so that's why we were a little bit delayed. Today's live is going to be mostly about travel hacking. A lot of you guys sent in some questions beforehand about travel hacking, and then so I will be talking a little bit about that. Please keep in mind, first of all, this is a subject that mostly applies to people in the United States because I'm going to be talking specifically. Hi, Kayla. We're going to be talking specifically to the use of American-based credit cards, which I understand have a very different structure than a lot of credit cards around the world. So if you are international, I apologize. Today's topics won't apply to you. Second, the one thing I always say about travel hacking is if you have not consistently been paying off credit card debt for at least 3 months or more, and you're not adding additional debt to your credit cards, you should not be travel hacking, because travel hacking depends on responsible use of credit cards. So that's the thing that I want to emphasize here. And while we're still waiting, check out Bella. Hi, Bella. Say hi to everybody. Okay now. All right. Back to travel hacking. We're going to get started with the questions. First one is, do you have to be wealthy to travel hack? How does one start it? And a lot of you guys said, how do I start with travel hacking in general? So let's talk about what travel hacking actually is. You're using a credit card. How do credit card companies make money? Here's how it works. Whenever you swipe your credit card to pay for an item, the credit card companies charge the merchant, the store, or the company that you're buying a service from, a merchant fee. That merchant fee is usually around 2 to 3% of your purchase. You never see it as a credit card user, but that's the fee that is then sent and being paid to the credit card. Credit card companies make money off of that fee, and in order to attract people who will spend a lot of money on their credit cards offer bonuses and perks, especially to people that they think are going to spend a lot. And that's how travel hacking is born, because they would negotiate at wholesale rates deals on travel, on hotel. If it's a branded credit card, a hotel can themselves offer free nights in exchange for you to become more loyal and for you to spend more money. So keep in mind again that travel hacking is mostly credit cards companies' ways to make more money off of you. Mr. Save My Sins and I are very careful about it, and we don't incur credit card debt. We don't carry a balance. So that's why I have to say it's not about being wealthy. It's about being disciplined, and it's about being very organized when it comes to travel hacking. So that hopefully should answer the first question. How to start? Think about it this way. You essentially have a couple kinds of ways to travel hack. One, you travel a lot. So you just travel, you fly a lot, you go to hotels, and over time, as you fly, you stay at the same hotel over and over, you'll get points or miles for your loyalty if you have signed up for a loyalty account. The second way to travel hack is you spend a lot of money and get points. So you just spend a lot of money on your credit cards, and that builds up points over time, because again, credit cards make money whenever you swipe it, and those points over time can be exchanged for travel experiences. The third kind, which is what Mr. Save My Sins and I do, is yes, we spend money because we tithe on our credit cards, and yes, we travel because we do travel a lot for work. However, we do credit card signups. This is actually where a lot of the hacking takes place. Okay, my cats are ridiculous. Guys, no fighting in the room. We do what we call credit card churn. And credit card churn works like this. Credit cards, to get new customers, will always have a sign-up bonus. You'll often see sign-up bonuses like, 50,000 points or 75,000 miles or whatever attached. You have to wait for a really good offer. And how do you know when something is a good offer? You would read web pages like this one. This is probably the main travel hacking blog you should be following. It's called the points guy. And then they will say, hey, this is a good deal, get on it. You sign up for the credit card, you get approved, assuming you get approved. And then usually to get that original deal, you have to spend a minimum of a couple $1,000s within the period of time. So again, this is a good time to, wait until a big purchase, and then you put all the spend on that credit card. You get the sign-up bonus. 50,000 miles, for example, is a very standard sign-up bonus. That's enough for a free round-trip flight, even internationally, on a lot of airlines. A free international flight is worth several $100s. Then usually that credit card comes with a lot of perks, but after a year, they start charging annual fees. This is what Mr. Save My Sense and I do. We call in right around the time the annual fee is due, and we threaten to cancel the credit card. The first CSR will say, oh, you want to cancel the credit card? Okay, they'll pass you to the second customer service rep, or they may be the same person. These credit card companies know that if you've been spending a lot on this card, you are valuable to them because of the merchant fees they earned from your spend. And so often what they'll do is they'll try to retain me for one more year. They're like, oh, we see you've been using this card and you spent a lot of money with us. Why would you want to, leave this credit card? And I always tell the truth. I'm like, I don't want to pay the annual fee. And then they'll usually give you two choices. Either they waive the annual fee and you stay on for one more year, or they give you an extra amount of points to stay on for one more year. So in general, Mr. Save My Sense and I, we stay on average, on a travel hacking credit card for 2 years. The first year is free with that big sign up. The second year, we threaten to cancel and we get a renewal bonus that often is usually around 10, 20,000 miles. It's enough to keep going that way. So most of the time, yes, we're spending on our credit cards, but we're oftentimes hacking. The hacking part comes with the renewal. So that a lot of you guys ask, what's the best way to get started travel hacking as a newbie? I would say you have to first figure out, where do you want to go with travel hacking? How do you plan on getting there? And what's the best way? You have to do your research up front, because you could get on the wrong credit card, the wrong loyalty program that doesn't even fly there. And so oftentimes, Mr. Save My Sense, the globe is open to us. We like to go to Asia, we like to go to Europe, we like to go to a lot of places, but Latin America right now is out due to Zika. And we get a sense as to how many points it takes to get there. And then we picked an alliance early. So for the longest time, not anymore, we were loyal to the Star Alliance, which includes the United Airlines in the United States. There's anything good to say about United Airlines or any of the airlines in the Americas. That is not what I'm talking about here. What you're supposed to do is you earn loyalty airline miles while flying constantly with these airlines, and then you use it on a different airline. You use it on a non-US airline to fly, ideally internationally. I rarely use my points and miles for domestic flights because it's not worth it, because you have to calculate what is the value per point that you end up getting. So you divide the cost of the airline ticket, if you were to pay cash for it, divided by the number of points. You ideally want to get as close to or above 2 cents per mile. So when you evaluate and you're ready to pay points for a card, you're ready to use the points or miles to pay for a flight, and you're not getting close to or above 2 cents a mile, it's actually not worth it to travel hack. So this person's question got a little bit cut off, but I think I know what you're trying to say. I have a lot of travel points. I haven't redeemed them yet. Not sure how to with Chase United card. So there's a lot of credit cards that are on the Chase platform. The Chase platform is called Ultimate Rewards. And to redeem them, all you do is go to chase.com, log in under your credit card login, and then under the benefits, look for the Ultimate Rewards link. That will take you to the Ultimate Rewards website. And from there, you can use your points, kind of like cash, to pay for things like flights, hotels, rental cars, which I really like as a usage of points, and even experiences. I actually booked a Napa Poly coastal boat tour in Kauai, Hawaii, using using Chase points. I also use points to book a boat tour in Alaska to go see humpback whales using Chase points. So you just gotta log online, look for the rewards portal, and see if there's anything that you enjoy. And usually there's a pretty straight one-to-one relationship on how the points and the dollar amounts work out. Let me see. So Mr. Save My Sins and I tithe on our credit card because our church takes credit cards, and also our tithe is not just limited to our church. We tithe to a lot of nonprofits huge nonprofit foundations that take credit cards, and that's actually how we rack up a lot of points on my side because I'm the one usually spending everything. But Mr. Save My Sins, he flies international business class 4 times a year for his job to a very remote country. So he actually essentially he commits to one alliance, and if you're flying business class international, your points also rack up very quickly that way. For I think a lot of my audience who are not in management consulting or the kind of jobs that Mr. Save My Sense and I have, and you're not tithing 5 figures of money, the best way to rack up points is to do it through your everyday shopping. You want to find a credit card that gives you the most amount of points on the stuff you purchase the most. So there are things called category point multipliers. So think of things like gas, restaurants, sometimes small business expenses. If you are a small business owner, there's some really great credit cards for small businesses. And then also there are a lot of merchants online that will give you extra points if you shop through the online portal. So you can do your online shopping, but then if you click through the shop through Chase Ultimate Rewards or shop through American Express or whatever, as long as you click the link and they land that cookie on your computer or on your phone, you get extra points when you put in that credit card. So for example, I don't really shop online. I don't buy things. That's still Mr. Save My Sins and I have been very frugal through most of our lives. We don't buy stuff. But some very common stores that you'll find online are things like Walmart. I don't know if Target is on it, but we use it a lot on Walmart. Lenscraft is on there for our glasses. And, 1-800-Flowers. There's lots of things. Once you dig through it, you'll find it. So for those of you with big households where you have lots of things to buy for, you can shop through that. For example, so I'm going to answer this next question, which is favorite credit card with Chase. So essentially, my friends and I basically all have the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. It is hefty. It comes with a $450 annual fee. It's not meant for everyone. But of that $450, you see $300 of that come back to you in the form of a travel credit. So if you spend a minimum $300 on travel each year, you'll get $300 back. So that lowers the annual fee to $150. And then I get free TSA pre and from the global entry. So that's $100. So that lowers down to $50. Then the question is the remaining $50 in annual fee worth it for me to travel hack? For me, absolutely yes. Another credit card, for example, the IHG Rewards credit card that comes with the IHG hotel chain. That one is, I think, a $59 or $95 annual fee. And that card not only does it give you multiplier points by staying at IHG hotels, the most common ones being like Holiday Inns and stuff, but it also comes with a 1 free night every year. And the nice ones are intercontinentals. So 1 free night. The first time we redeemed it, we took that 1 free night at the newest intercontinental in downtown LA on New Year's Eve. That night probably would have retailed $600 to $700 that evening, but with a an annual fee of less than $100, that free night reward was more than worth it. So Chase Sapphire Reserve is my favorite. And that card, because I order out a lot of food when working late. When I work late at my workplace, I get reimbursed to order food because I don't have time to be cooking. And also I take cabs home for my safety. So that's how I earn a lot of my cards. What's the best way to travel hack if you are still getting out of debt? So if you are still in debt and a lot of that debt is coming from credit cards and you are still sort of in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and you can't really get out of it, and you often are the kind of person to put, emergencies on credit cards, you should not be travel hacking. Travel hacking is for people who can responsibly pay off the full amount on their credit cards in full and carry no balance, no interest. So I'm sorry, but I really don't think travel hacking is for people who have credit card debt, because you gotta be consistently paying off your credit card and lowering that in order to be able to responsibly handle credit cards. Are there better times to book hotels and how to get the best rates? Yes. So the industry used to be that the best hotel rates were on online travel agent websites. Should I close my credit cards if I cannot? Doesn't? Yeah, you should close your credit cards. Travel hacking is not for everyone. Better times to use to book hotels and how to get best rates. It used to be that you could get the best hotel rates online, like Kayak and Travelocity and things like that. However, the hotels are paying these online travel agents a fee every time that someone books through it, and so the hotels use less money, make less money. Over time, as technology has gotten better and better, the hotels now all have their own online booking system. Even some of the smaller boutique chains have it, such that they now would rather that you book directly with them than online. See what I'm saying here? So in general, the general rule is here. The best times to save money on travel is to plan freaking way in advance. Mr. Safe Lifestyles and I plan the majority of our trips 9 to 12 months in advance of travel. I know millennials are sort of like a little bit more last minute. You guys kind of like get inspiration. No, if you're planning your trip in less than 6 months, you're probably not going to be saving as much money as the people planning 9 months to 12 months in advance. Because we get the best deals, we get access to the lowest points valued flights by booking that far in advance. So really, you just gotta book ahead of time. And then what we'll do is we'll refresh the searches a couple times throughout to see if there are better rates. And also, we book direct. So for travel hacking, our second most favorite program is what's formerly known as a Starwood Preferred Guest. Then it got bought out by Marriott, and now it has this stupid name called Marriott Bonvoy, which I think is like such a stupid name. But Marriott Bonvoy means that if I use Marriott points, I can book directly on Marriott.com to stay at any Marriott or Starwood hotel. It is one of the largest hotel chains in the world. And yeah, we book early because once hotels start getting into the busy season, they start blacking out dates, and then you won't be able to use your points anymore. So is how often do I recommend opening credit card for points? So yes, whenever you apply for and open a credit card, and also whenever you close a credit card, there is a temporary impact to your credit score, because when you are opening a credit card, the credit card does what is called a hard check on your credit score. They check your credit score, they check your credit history, and when the credit agencies see too many of these in a row, it means that you're constantly taking out debt. That's essentially what it means. So they ding you because they're like, you shouldn't be constantly signing up for debt. So Mr. Save My Sense and I typically limit ourselves to opening and closing credit cards every 6 months or so. And in the 1 year leading up to a huge financed purchase, like taking on a mortgage when we last bought our home 3 years ago, we stopped all new credit card signups. And what we typically do is that we're signing up for and also closing credit cards in the same month. As long as you do it within the same month, the impact to your credit score is all at once, but then it goes away after a few months. And so and because we've already started the cycle, we just keep repeating it. It actually works pretty well. Keep in mind, Mr. Save My Sense and I both have credit scores of 800 and above. Again, travel hacking is for people who can be very, very responsible with credit. It is not for everyone. And once you're done redeeming a reward miles from a credit card, do you close the card? I explained earlier today in the live that I don't. I try to hang on to the credit card at least for 1 more year, and I try to negotiate with them to either waive the annual fee or, even better, give me extra points. And I've often gotten a lot more extra points that way. And if points and miles devalue over time, they're always going to make it harder for you to redeem stuff. So over time, they become less and less valuable. So what you really have to do is you have to plan the trip that you want, calculate the amount of points you need, sign up for the credit card, get those points, and spend the points right away. I would not recommend hoarding points. Mr. Save My Sense and I just burn our points constantly every year because your points devalue over time. It's like hoarding money in a non-interest bearing checking account and not putting it in an online yield bearing savings account. It's just going to lose value over time. And so that is a very important message that I want to give you. Another idea for spending money when travel hacking is some of you have the ability to pay your rent with credit card. Not all of you. I know this is not common, but it is becoming more common. You do have to pay a fee. But if you can do the math, for some of you, it may be worth it. It just may be worth it because there's a lot of credit cards that say, if you spend minimum $10,000, $20,000 on that card in 1 year, they'll give you an additional like 10,000 points or something. Credit card travel hacking is just like stacking coupons. You're stacking travel offers one on top of the other. So some of you, I would consider looking at paying your rent. If you're doing a lot of home reno, going to Home Depot, swipe your credit card. If you're planning a wedding, put it on the credit card. If you're there's ways to do it, but like I said, you got to make sure you have the cash to pay for the stuff that you put on the credit card. This is very important. How we are in this boat while doing travel nursing, you can pay our rent using a credit card. Yeah, that's a big one. One of my commenters just said that they're paying their rent with the credit card. That's where you can get a lot of points. How do we keep track of points, miles, etc.? Mr. Save My Sense and I use a defunct software to do our budget. Everyone's been asking, how do we budget? Well, the thing is, we use this program called Money by Microsoft. It's no longer supported. You can't buy it unless you go to eBay because it's offline and everybody's moving to the cloud. We like it because we don't like our financial information sitting aggregated and sitting out there for someone to hack. We are actually, even though I'm a public person, most of you don't know Mr. Save My Sense name. That's very important. Most of you guys have no idea where I live. That's very important because other than New York, but there's 8 million people in New York. And I wanted to keep that way because privacy. Your financial information and your health information should be guarded. I am open about IVF, but I don't say much about it other than how I feel. I don't talk about the diagnosis or that much. And so in Money, there's actually a way to keep track of points in an account. We essentially, as we money diary about every 2 to 4 weeks. We would also log onto all of our accounts and just look at how much the points are growing. And we do a lot of Excel work ahead of time. We look at, okay, what's the next trip that we want to do? How many points is it going to take? Where is the point usage? So for our trip to Portugal and Spain in May, there was a one-time deal last year on Iberia Airlines, the Spanish airlines, where in a very short amount of time, you get essentially double the points on, not even double, you get like an extra 10,000 points or something like that for every flight that you booked. Now the thing is, we're here in the United States. We're not flying Iberia Airlines. The fine print said you didn't have to take the flight. So what Mr. Save My Sense and I did was we booked 10 one-way flights between the two cities that were closest to each other in Spain. The flights cost, I think, maybe $50 each. So we booked 10 of them. We put $500 into these one-way flights that we would never take. We never ended up taking these flights. But each flight got us an extra 10,000 points. Eventually, at the end, when all of this was said and done, we have enough points to take us across the Atlantic to Spain and back, and on one of the ways, we will be in business class. So it's all about, again, it's like couponing. You gotta find these really hidden deals. They're on the blogs. The Points Guy is one of them. You gotta keep reading and keep looking out for these like hidden tricks. And you gotta jump on it and be very organized. But you also have to read the fine print because it's very, very easy to F it up. For example, the biggest rookie travel mistake I've seen people make is book travel without renewing your passport. Your passport must be renewed at minimum 6 months before its expiration date. Again, this is for United States passports. I've seen my father-in-law literally not make it onto a flight because he didn't know and you were supposed to renew your passport. So that's a rookie mistake that I see happen all the time. Travel hacking is not for the faint-hearted. Whenever Mr. Save My Sense and I book a trip, we're actually also constantly on the phone because a lot of technology doesn't allow for the extent of travel hacking that we're doing. And oftentimes we be on hold and then on the phones with technical support, with customer service support for up to 3-4 hours for every flight that we're booking. It's a lot of time. We do it, behind the scenes at work. We do it overnight. We stay up. Sometimes we pull on-liners to do this, but it's worth it because think of it this way. On average, Mr. Save My Sense and I spend $5,000 in cash to travel each year. The value of the trips that we take range between $10,000 to $20,000. If you were to pay cash for all the trips that we take in a typical year, and you didn't know how to travel hack any of this, you would be paying out of pocket $10,000 to $20,000, but we get it down to $5,000. So that's why travel hacking is powerful. But again, I know we operate on a slightly different level. I would say people who are earning 6-figure incomes, who are traveling a lot for work can do more travel hacking, but it doesn't mean that it's blocked out to the rest. You just have to set the right expectations. You might not be able to travel to 3 countries a year like we're doing, but you might be able to take 1 trip every 2 years in order and have the flights paid for. When international, do you carry cash or how do you pay? It depends on where you go. You just gotta read travel guides. Most of Europe, you don't really need to carry cash anymore. In Japan, you still have to carry cash because they really don't like cash over there. We have a savings account with TD Bank. We absolutely love TD Bank for a reason. We never ever let me type this into the comment box. Never use a cash exchanger. You know why? When you land in an airport and you see those little Amex Travel Exchange and they are allowing you to exchange your currency, do not do it. They charge the fees they charge, the spread, and you can tell the spread by how much they buy and how much they sell, is way too darn high. The best way to get your cash is to have a bank account with TD Bank, which has fee-free ATM withdrawals anywhere in the world. It means they'll refund it to you. You'll get charged first, but then they'll refund it. So the moment you land in an airport, go to the ATM that bears the logo of the national bank or the biggest bank of that country. It's very easy. In China, Bank of China. In Japan, it was like Bank of Tokyo, Bank of Kyoto or something. ING in the Netherlands or, plenty of banks. I don't know the names of all the banks. Go there, take your ATM card, slide in a slot, and pull out cash. And you'll get the lowest fees for exchange that way with the cash. You get it right as you land. Don't exchange cash with a cash exchanger. That will cost you a lot of money. Do I speak any other language fluently? 我可以讲中文话. I can speak Chinese. I can read some French because I took French lessons in high school, but let's not have me speak French because it will be terrible. And my husband can speak a little bit of Spanish. I do think it's important to learn some phrases, and I think it's increasingly important for most of us to learn Chinese because, like it or not, they're a big partner in the world. And so for me, it's always been really helpful. Most of the places we travel, there will be someone who can speak in English. Pretty much everywhere else in the world, most people learn their mother language and English. However, people will tend to help you more if you say a couple of phrases in their language up front. It shows your appreciation for their culture. So oftentimes before I go, I write down a couple of common phrases so that I appear a little bit more friendly when I walk up to a person. Okay, and I'm going to, this is an interesting question. Do you stay in the wedding hotel for destination weddings? Almost never. The wedding hotel is not a must-have. The way that hotel blocks work is that it's a courtesy that they extend to the bride and groom to hold it at a reasonable rate But the hotel is still going to keep selling the guest rooms. They're not holding actual rooms unless the contract actually said so. And more often than not, for weddings, Mr. Save My Sense, typically we stay with friends or we stay at a hotel that we can hack nearby. Also, pay with a credit card that does not charge for international purchases. Yes, but I was talking about how there's actually a lot of countries still that don't take credit cards, especially since Mr. Save My Sense are now really frugal, and we tend to buy really, really cheap food at really local places, and those tend to not take credit cards. I'm going to read a question from my DMs. It seems that travel hacking is about opening many credit cards. What do you do with them afterwards? How do you support some money? So at the height of it, I think both of us probably have like 10, 11 credit cards. We just keep them open. The best you can do is take one small recurring charge and put it on them. Mr. Save My Sense, what he does is he goes to Starbucks every 5-6 months and puts $5 on his Starbucks card on each of his credit cards. That keeps the history alive. For me, I put my Hulu subscription, which is I think like $5.99 a month, on my oldest credit card, which is this beginner American Express blue cashback card, and it has my oldest history. A huge part of your credit score is the length of your credit history. So I keep my oldest card alive, but the cards that I got signed up in the middle, I don't bother keeping alive as much because closing those don't really impact my history all that much. Another question: we don't fly often enough for work, so we don't have points accruing on airlines. Do you still recommend opening up mileage accounts? No. You got to open up accounts, or you got to open up credit card that fit your lifestyle and the way you spend. For some of you, a cashback card might actually make sense. For some of you, a gas card probably makes the most sense. Many of you buy way more stuff than I do on Amazon, on grocery stores, because you have very large families to support. I only support myself, my hubby, and this critter and his brother over there. We don't consume a lot. We let me try to round my numbers, because I also don't like revealing how much we make and how much we spend and whatever. Essentially, per month, we're probably buying like $500 to $1,000 of stuff at the end. So it's not a lot. We spend like our expenditures closer to that of a middle class family. But for many of you, if you go to Target all the darn time, maybe get a card that rewards you for going to Target. We have a Hilton Honor membership, but how do I book hotels overseas that are in that same family? HiltonHonors.com or Hilton.com. Click book with points or book with miles. That's all it is. If you don't know how to do a lot of these things, call the customer service line. They'll help you. They want you to spend money with them. That's kind of their job. Okay. Actually, I was going to answer another question, but they're very similar. I'm going to start moving to some non-travel hacking and more financial information. So again, disclaimer up front, I'm not a certified financial planner. I am not allowed to tell you where to invest. Don't sue my ass. This video is property of Savvy Sense LLC. All right, got the legal stuff out of the way. Here we go. The internet and Google are an awesome source for learning about investing. However, I find myself paralyzed by the amount of information out there. How do you sort through it all? How do you know what is accurate and quality information? I'm terrified about reaching the wrong, ill-informed conclusions about investing strategies. Thank you. And thank you all for the travel hacking questions. I'm now moving into finance. And the most important thing is do due diligence on your source. Who is writing the information? Is it similar to some of the best books you've written? Is it well researched? Do they have authority on this? I would trust more information written by economists, written by professors, written by legitimate investment sources like the Financial Times, and a couple of bloggers that have really, really big followers, and not a first-time journalist just trying to understand investing in the first place. They're probably not going to write the best information. And the way for you to understand what's good information is you have to read. read. I actually didn't read a lot of finance books because I learned a lot of this on the job, but I will have to say, The Millionaire Next Door, the book that I'm giving away in my 10,000 follower giveaway, is my all-time favorite book. In terms of the next book that I'm trying to actually reserve, it has such a huge waiting list at the library. Like right now is The Essays of Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett is the best investor probably of humankind. And then also I would say, don't approach it with fear. If you approach it with fear and not of abundance, then you're not going to be successful, because you're not going to let yourself fail. You're not going to let yourself learn. So that's important. Do you remember apps where you can share dining and entertainment costs? I don't really use it because Mr. St. My Sense and I have such a peculiar traveling style that we typically don't travel with friends, because I don't think a lot of people like the way we travel, which is actually quite frugal when we're on the ground. We eat grocery food, we take public transportation, we don't pay baggage check fees, we don't pay for any conveniences, we don't splurge, we don't buy souvenirs, we don't go to shows, we don't do that stuff. For us, it's just walking and taking the experience in. So I don't have a good recommendation there. Do you think it's important for someone who has filed bankruptcy to try to build their credit score up? Yes, I do. As much as Dave Ramsey doesn't like credit cards, I think he is fucking wrong. Sorry, Dave Ramsey. In some ways, you're giving really bad advice to the people of the United States, because there's a lot of institutions out there that still care about your credit score. Like it or not, employers are starting to care about your credit score. Rental companies care about your credit score. You can't get a mortgage or car loan easily. I know there's other ways to evaluate you. I know there are alternatives to credit score, but it's not mainstream. So if you just decide to, avoid credit scores altogether, you are shooting yourself in the foot. Get ready for credit card debt. Learn to be disciplined. Freeze your credit cards for all I care, but don't ignore the fact that most financial institutions care about your credit score and give a damn. So please give a damn about your credit score. You need to. All right. Can you recommend frugal tips on paying off debt? I think it's less so about the frugality. There are hundreds of thousands of debt-free community accounts out there that will all show you how to be frugal. But what I found from most people is it's not the frugal action itself, it's your mindset. That you don't have, your singular goal is to get rid of debt and nothing else matters. I like having only one or two goals. So most of the people I teach, month in, month out, I'm like, did you pay off debt? 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 That's all that I care about, and taking care of your health. But the thing is, like, you're trying to do this and do that and do a lot of things, you're not going to be successful. So for me, it's the frugal tip is have a singular focus on debt. But the best way to save, which a lot of people don't want to do, but is to downsize your house, sell your house, get into a smaller house, get into cheaper rent, give up your need for privacy, give up your level of comfort, and be ready to live with less. Be ready to be uncomfortable, because sometimes you need to be uncomfortable to dig yourself out of the hole that you are in right now. That's just what you got to do. Suggestions on how to prepare to be a bridesmaid and wedding related this in terms of getting a dress and whatnot. So I actually bought my bridesmaid dress on eBay. The last time I was a bridesmaid, I sold my dress on eBay. I bought my dress new from J. Crew. I did not alter it. I think I used a safety pin to make it smaller and fit myself on that day. And then I was able to sell it on eBay, brand like new bridesmaid dress unaltered, which is really important. People don't like buying altered things on eBay. And I recouped most of the cost of that. And in the current market, how would you approach paying off mortgage versus investing hybrid approach? It depends on interest rates, and it depends on your ability to generate returns in the market. In general, I recommend that if the return that you can get on the market is higher than the interest, the after-tax return on the market is higher than your interest rate, like significantly higher, invest. But if you're not that good with investing, you don't know your returns very well, then sometimes paying off mortgage might be better, just for the ease of mind. And a lot of you people who do pay off mortgage that know that it's a 100% guarantee, which I agree is important. Investing carries a lot of risk with it. What is the advantage of freezing accounts? I meant literally physically freezing your credit card. Like put your credit card into a cup of water and put it in your freezer. What I'm trying to teach people is not to use their credit card. So if you're horrible at budgeting, move to an all cash thing. Delete every app on your phone that causes you to spend that is linked to a credit card. Unlink your credit card from everything that is online and do what you can to start blocking online shopping websites. Sometimes, for some of you, this means getting off social media. Because where is all the advertising spend being spent these days? Online. Unsubscribe viciously from every email list you are on. I saved more money in the last 5-6 years by never being on any single marketing email list. I worked at Victoria's Secret. We knew that our most valuable marketing tool was email marketing. That's where we got everyone's money from, is to email you and tell you that there's a sale going on. You are not saving money by buying during a sale. You're still spending money. Okay. Credit score prevents high interest rate. I'm not sure what that is. Have you heard about dynamic pricing? Travel busy airlines collecting data on your worth, and so I also can't say things that are under confidentiality at my work. My company actually works for some of the biggest airlines out there, so no comment on that. I apologize, but I can't say anything that will materially change the market. Okay, some other finance questions. Where do you suggest to be in the baby steps before traveling? This is up to you. There are people who are in debt, who I am coaching, who are traveling. But you know what? We may travel like one of their priority categories and we give up on other things. Like there are people who don't buy new clothes for a year, who don't buy makeup, who don't buy, who don't eat out and put all that money towards travel. It's all about priorities. Mr. Save My Sense and I, the way we budget is we have a 12-month trailing average, TTM. It's a common business term. And we say as long as our trailing 12-month average hits the average spend that we've budgeted for, it doesn't matter what we spend on. So some years it can go, some months it goes up, some months it goes down. Usually when we have a really high month, we try to make the next month really low. It doesn't matter what we buy, as long as this is something that we value and our trailing 12 month is that average. This is because Mr. Save My Sense and I have been successfully budgeting for the last 10 plus years of our lives. If you are still struggling with budgeting, then you would have to get very fine on the details and put specific caps on everything that you do. Okay, how do I invest in the S&P? So you can invest in index funds and funds that track the S&P 500. You actually can't really buy the S&P. The S&P is just an index. An index is a measure of, the average growth of a basket of companies or a basket of stocks. And to invest, you open a brokerage account with any brokerage, which sounds like a bank. You can go to Fidelity.com is my favorite, Vanguard. You can do it to Charles Schwab, although they have higher fees. You can open it with JP Morgan Chase, whatever. And then you click invest. You transfer money from your bank account into your brokerage, and then you start searching for these funds. And if you Google index funds, there will be plenty of articles out there that will tell you where to invest. Should I roll an old 401k into a Roth this year, maternity leave and no overtime, so lower income? I actually think that's a good year. The years in which, and this is actually not called a rollover. This is actually called a Roth conversion. You make sure you use the right word when you call up your provider, because if you say a rollover, it might actually do the wrong thing. So what you want to do is you want to go to the provider where you want your Roth to sit, not your provider who's 1K. The reason being this, asset management companies hate losing money that they're managing, but they love getting new accounts. So you don't want to call up the old provider. You want to call up the new one, or it could be the same one. I don't know how yours works. And you want to say, I have a 401k. I want to convert it to a Roth IRA this year. And then they'll give you the paperwork to do it, but you have to remember this. You will owe taxes on everything that's taxable in that account in the tax return that comes in the following year. So if you convert anytime between December 31st, 2019 by the time your taxes are due, in April of 2020, you need to have extra cash set aside that's not in that 401k to pay for the taxes. So make sure that you have that cash set aside. Otherwise, you will be in a little bit of hot water. But this is an interesting, more philosophical question. Thoughts on balancing contentment versus drive? I would say on the surface, people look at me and I look like I am all about drive. But at the end of the day, finding joy is what means more to me. I put a picture up today that no matter, I live in a $1 million plus home. I can afford Louboutins, I own them. I can afford to do a lot of things. But those things don't bring me joy at the end of the day. What brings me joy? I do like these little furry creatures. And you know what? You can adopt them. You don't need to buy cats unless you're really, really allergic to them. And, I want kids. I do love. I love my friends. The part of the reason why I was late today to my own life is because I was having dinner with a really close friend. And, people over things. So I think it's important to perform at the peak of your potential as much as you can, because I also don't believe in wasting talent and wasting my energy and time. That's why I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. I think it's a huge time waster. But at the end of the day, you gotta have a purpose. And the purpose hopefully fills your heart. Because you can fill your house with lots and lots of things. You can even want to travel the world. But there has to be a purpose to all of this. And without purpose, your heart will not be fulfilled. And I know this because I've tried everything. And I've met really, really rich people who are not happy at all. What percentage of my monthly take-home pay should go into investing in index funds? I don't know where you are in your life. This is the general gist that I have. If you are listening to me now in your 20s and you have zero debt, you should be... And also, I don't like this take-home pay. That's the thing. You guys forget about taxes. Stop calculating your saving rate as a percentage of your take-home pay. Everybody, pay attention to your taxes. Let's think about it as a percentage of your pre-tax pay, okay? That's the metric that you really should be caring about. And that's what I have on my profile. So right now I say 50% of my gross pre-tax pay. Take-home pay, it's probably closer to 70%. As a percentage of your pre-tax pay, at minimum, when you're starting out in your 20s, you should be saving around 20% if you hope to retire with a similar lifestyle as you do today, recognizing that there is inflation and you gotta invest that money. But that percentage, if you are starting later on in life, needs to go higher. Right now, I'm coaching people in their 30s and sometimes even people in their 40s. I'm recommending 30%, maybe even 40% savings rates, especially if they started with nothing. So it depends on the amount of time that you have left until retirement. That should go to, and again, I define savings rate broadly. Savings is your income minus the taxes, minus anything that you spend on today, the remainder savings. And that can include retirement. It can include unspent HSAs. It includes, saving for kids' colleges. It includes cash savings, all of that in the textbook economic definition is savings. And you have to calculate it off of pre-tax because you need to pay attention to how much you're paying on taxes. And if you decide to become financial independence, retire early, like myself, you have to figure out how to lower your taxes. Taxes is actually your biggest bill. Okay, I'm just making sure that other questions are being asked. I did kind of answer this question, just curious if you use a budget each month. I talked about the trailing 12-month method that Mr. Save My Sense and I use, which is we already know how much our biggest bills cost. And then we basically hit an average over the remaining 12 months. But we can do this again because we have a really, really big buffer. We have a 1-year emergency fund. So that's why we can do that. I'll also double check. Okay, that should be the majority of the questions on travel hacking, on investing. As always, I upload these videos to a private link on YouTube. How do you lower? No, lowering tax is not illegal. It's about being tax efficient, using retirement accounts, being judicious about when to record, losses on. It's called tax loss harvesting. Like there's a way to sell stocks at a loss, buy something similar the day after, and then harvest the loss by counting the loss against. This is stuff that you need to talk to a CPA and a tax preparer for. They will get you all the details. If you have a business, you should be deducting a lot of your costs. There's ways to turn apart some of your activities into tax deductions. Yeah, things like that. How do you advise couples when one spouse does the talk but doesn't follow through, doesn't want to sacrifice when it comes to the bills and budgeting? Good question. I feel bad talking about difficulties in marriage because I don't want to do things, I don't want to say something wrong either. And there's plenty of stuff that Mr. Save My Sense and I need to get better at. So I'll phrase it this way. For the longest time, I worked so darn hard, and when I told Mr. Save My Sense that I would focus on family, and I did, and I worked, 70, 80 hours a week. I came home exhausted, I didn't see my friends, etc. And then one day he's just like, Sheng, you and I, when we got married, we agreed to these values, and it's all about values. What is the values that your spouse is actually doing? Where people spend their money and where people spend their time and energy, that's their value system. That's it. It's not me coming out and saying I'm Christian, or me coming out and saying, hey, I believe in blah blah blah, or I believe in this right. It's where you spend your time. And so you gotta, as a spouse, you have the power to be direct and say, hey, your value right now is not sacrificing when it comes to bills. You gotta show the trade-off. For a lot of people that I coach, I said, okay, if you don't want to give up your fancy house, that is actually causing you to go underwater. If you don't want to stop spending more than you earn, guess what? Your life, when you retire, will be on food stamps. You will die early because you can't afford the health care that you need. And more likely than not, you will be living in a shelter. I'm painting a very drastic picture, but the truth of the matter is the percentage of people on food stamps in the United States, one of the fastest growing categories right now, is the elderly, because people have not saved enough for retirement. So basically I say you are eating away, you are taking life away from the future version of you. And if you can phrase that, hopefully that spouse is selfish enough to want their future life to exist. I have had one or two people who've come to me and said, Sheng, I'm going to die at age 50. YOLO! Okay, most of you are going to live quite a long time. You can actually Google actuarial calculators for lifespan, and they base it on whether you drink or not, and sorry, not drinking, whether you smoke. Sorry, it's not drinking. Smoking is the number one impact on life expectancy and exercise and stuff. And plenty of people will live into their 70s and 80s. So hoping that you will die early is kind of a really stupid assumption. And I say things like stupid again, not to say that you are stupid, it's that the statement you've made is stupid. I'm sure you are a smart and intelligent person, and that you will think rightly for yourself, but you gotta have the data to back up what you're saying. And if you don't have the evidence to back it up, you're just making shit up. Okay, and I will end with some of my top frugal tips for traveling. So here we go. Pack light. I never pack anything that won't fit into the overhead. And so that's why I would say pack light, so that you never have to pay baggage fees. But also, this allows you to move between hotels very quickly. Mr. Save My Sense and I don't stay in one hotel the entire time. 2, use public transportation from the airport. One of the biggest expenses people fall into is to take a cab from the airport into the center city. Stupid mistake. Don't do it. Take a bus, take a local train. You can see more of the local area that way, and it's a lot less money. Yes, if you have a kid, still use damn public transportation. I know it sucks sometimes, but children need to see that they don't need to be chauffeured around in the car all the time. Buy groceries and make your own food. A lot of times, Mrs. Safe License and I will load up on groceries and snacks so that we don't eat out as much. And what else? Use passes to some degree. Like, try to see things that are for free. We don't go to shows. We don't do a lot of those experiences, so we don't tend to buy. Okay, travel is sold to a lot of people as an experience, and you know what? What all of these agencies are doing is they're playing with they're writing the moment. They're writing the culture right now, the culture of YOLO, the culture of experience, the culture that, okay, sure, it's no longer popular or cool to buy stuff like people did in the 80s, but it's really cool to travel because, hey, I invested in travel and I'm going to have really good memories. That is all marketing. That is all marketing. Yes, travel is fun. I agree with that. I think travel is a really great way to open your minds to new cultures, but it's not a must-have. You will not die by not traveling. And so stop thinking of traveling as a must. Stop thinking of traveling as the goal. It's not. It's investing in experience. It's marketing hogwash to get you to give up your hard-earned money. Stay in travel hack, right? Try to save money on hotels and airlines using miles and points, and also try to Mrs. Safe License and I, for a long time, we actually stayed at youth hostels. Hostels are much cheaper than hotels and often offer really good free breakfast, and you get to meet a lot of locals that way and travel with them. So we stayed in a lot of hostels traveling as well. Whole car seat or not and whatnot, so stressful. I am not a mom, so I don't know what level of stress you can deal with, but for difficult situations, I always think this way. I don't think of how difficult it is. I think of the possibilities that travel can open up for me. So I don't, I figure I will always solve the logistics. I will, in some way, shape, or form. It won't be perfect. Don't expect travel to be perfect. In fact, a ton of things go wrong when traveling, and you won't have perfect days. A lot of them will be ruined by weather, but over time you will remember back as a happy memory. I did see another question here on investing whole life insurance. It is way too complicated of a topic for most of my audience. I don't want to get into it right now because it's going to take a lot of math to show everything and people will get confused. So let's not talk about that. Okay? And so thank you all for being a part of today's live on travel hacking. And okay, I can have a live in the future about marketing tactics sometime. Thank you all for your active participation. Love talking to all of you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.